What's up, guys? D-Rock1992 here. For this next video, I am going to be going over, doing a little overview of the most notable movies that are going to be coming out during the months of July, August, and September. This is the third in my four-part series. I already did the January, February, and March video, and the April, May, and June video. So now is July through September, the third quarter of the year of 2017. So without further ado, I'm going to get started. And we get started July with a big movie, with a big blockbuster movie it probably will do very well at the box office. The week of July 7th, we have Spider-Man Homecoming. So this is Spider-Man in his first movie in the Marvel Universe, his first solo movie in the Marvel Universe since moving from Sony to Marvel. Now, Sony and Marvel have joint production over Spider-Man, but Marvel, it's part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe now. Spider-Man jumps in. Now, if anything about Captain America Civil War tells you anything tells you about that, I think Tom Holland is going to kill it as Spider-Man, because he really did a good job in a brief role in Captain America Civil War. He did a nice job. And there's a lot of anticipation now going around for this movie. You know, his own solo movie, Tom Holland as Spider-Man. So there's a lot riding on this film, and for good reason. I mean, at first I thought the title of the movie, Spider-Man Homecoming, I thought it was a dumb title, because it's like, oh, Spider-Man's going to prom. What's going to happen there? But now I kind of understand more about the title, is the fact that, and it's the fact that he's returning to Marvel. He's returning to Marvel, coming back home. So I understand the title a little bit more. I'm not crazy about the title, but I understand it more. Anyway, Michael Keaton's going to play the villain, the Vulture, I believe, in the film, one of the Spider-Man villains. Marissa Tomei is going to play Spider-Man's Aunt May. Tomei played Aunt May in Captain America Civil War as well. Robert Downey Jr. is going to have a supporting role as Iron Man / Tony Stark. He's going to be helping out Spider-Man in the movie. So, yeah, Spider-Man Homecoming should be an exciting film for sure. You know, it's a very anticipated film, because we had the Sam Raimi Spider-Mans, Spider-Man, Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man 3. Two of the movies, the first and second Spider-Man in the series, were good. The third one was not so good. Then we had the Amazing Spider-Man 1 and Amazing Spider-Man 2. A lot of people thought Amazing Spider-Man 1 was decent, but 2, a lot of people didn't like. And it destroyed Andrew Garfield's chances of being Spider-Man again, you know, after the whole thing with Sony and bankruptcy went down. So, you know, but regardless, this is going to be a new beginning for Spider-Man, one of the most popular comic book characters of all time, and I'm anticipating the movie. So there's another big movie coming out the weekend of July 14th, and that is going to be War for the Planet of the Apes. It is the third movie in the trilogy in the reboot Planet of the Apes series. The Planet of the Apes series started out, I believe, in the 60s with Charlton Heston in one of the lead roles. And so there were a few movies that came out in the 60s and 70s, I believe, that had Charlton Heston as a lead actor in the movie. Well, anyway, this movie coming up uh, stars Andy Serkis, who appeared in the other two films as Caesar, leader of the apes. You have Steve Zahn, who's going to be in the film, and Woody Harrelson as well. Woody Harrelson, I believe, is going to play the bad guy in the movie. So, this is a very anticipated film. I have never seen any of the Planet of the Apes movies, but I've heard that the first one, that a lot of them are good. You know, the first one in this reboot series I heard was good. Second one I heard was awesome. So there's a lot of anticipation going for this third movie. Next up is going to be an exciting release. Another exciting release. It is going to be the weekend of July 21st. We are going to get Dunkirk. And this is a very anticipated film because it is another film directed by Christopher Nolan. Of course, Christopher Nolan is most known for directing all three Batman films. The rebooted Batman series, Batman Begins, The Dark Knight, and The Dark Knight Rises, as well as other films as well. So Christopher Nolan, so this is a very exciting film because it is directed by a quality A-list director in Christopher Nolan. So this is going to be a movie about World War II, and the plot reads like this. Allied soldiers from Britain, Belgium, Canada, and France are surrounded by the German army on the beaches of Dunkirk and evacuated in Operation Dynamo between May 26th and June 4th, 1940, during the early stages of the Second World War. So, an interesting there. There are some brand named actors that are in the movie. Kenneth Branagh, probably best known for his Shakespeare adaptations, and he directed Thor, the first Thor movie. Tom Hardy, he was nominated for Best Supporting Actor for The Revenant from a couple of years ago. Mark Rylance, who was nominated for Best Supporting Actor a couple years ago for Bridge of Spies, and he won, I believe, too. And one of the most interesting casts, Harry Styles, who is a member of the band One Direction. He is going to be in the movie. So, interesting casting there, but we'll see if it works out. But Dunkirk is a heavily anticipated movie and it's coming out in the summer season, so it could be a big hit for Christopher Nolan. Next movie on my list is one that I've heard of. One that I've heard of being talked about and all that. And it's going to be Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets. It's a French science fiction action film directed by Luc Besson, who is known for directing a couple of the Taken movies. I believe he did, anyway. I think he directed... Yeah, he directed the first Taken, or he directed... or he was a producer of the Taken movies. He was involved with those movies in some way. But anyway, this movie, I've heard about a little bit. It has a pretty impressive cast. Dane DeHaan, who was the Green Goblin, I believe, in Amazing Spider-Man 2. He's going to be the star of the movie. Cara Delevingne, who is a model/actress, is going to be in the film. Rihanna, who has not had the best of film careers, is going to be in this film. John Goodman finds himself in the movie. Ethan Hawke also. So, an impressive cast. We'll see how this movie goes. So, next film on my list is another highly anticipated film. There's two films in particular that I'm going to talk about that are coming out July 28th, the weekend of July 28th. First one is The Dark Tower. and it's based on a series of novels by Stephen King. I had never heard of The Dark Tower before I kind of heard about the rumors about the movie and all that, how it was going to be made. So, and it's got a very impressive cast. Idris Elba and Matthew McConaughey are the two main stars of this movie. So you get two brand names here that are going to be in this film. So it's impressive for sure. So I know nothing about The Dark Tower at all. So maybe I'd go back before I watch the movie. I probably would read the book, the books or something like that. But yeah, it's another exciting film in the July month, another exciting film, so a lot of people are looking forward to it. And the next film is The Coldest City. This is a starring vehicle for Charlize Theron, who's a very talented actress. She won the Academy Award for her performance in the movie Monster, way back in 2003. You also have James McAvoy starring in the film, John Goodman, Sophia Boutella. So the plot of the film reads like this. A high-stakes global action thriller that takes place in the city of Berlin on the eve of the Great Wall's collapse, and the shifting of superpower alliances. Lorraine Broughton, who's played by Charlize Theron, a top-level spy for MI6, is dispatched to Berlin to take down a ruthless espionage ring that has just killed an undercover agent for reasons unknown. She is ordered to cooperate with Berlin Station Chief David Percival, played by James McAvoy, and the two form an uneasy alliance, unleashing their full arsenal of skills in pursuing a threat that jeopardizes the West's entire intelligence operation. So, reading the plot of this film, it looks very interesting to me. I will definitely see it at some point. It's up my alley. It's a spy thriller film. Definitely going to be some action in there, and I'm a fan of action films. So, again, this film is going to be up my alley, for sure. Also, the weekend of the 28th, there's going to be an untitled Disney live-action fairy tale film. And I've heard rumors about, I believe it's Tinkerbell, a live-action Tinkerbell movie, and I think that movie stars Reese Witherspoon, so that could go into the July 28th weekend. You never know, but I'm really not sure, but we'll definitely see. So that's it for July, and next we get into August 4th. And there are two movies that I want to talk about here. One that I've heard of, which is going to be an animated action comedy, is Blazing Samurai. It is, like I said, a computer animated action comedy film. The voice cast is impressive. Michael Cera is the lead character. Sam Jackson is going to be in the movie. Ricky Gervais, Mel Brooks, George Takei, Gabriel Iglesias, and more. So the plot of the movie reads like this. The story revolves around a scrappy young dog, Hank, who's played by Michael Cera, who dreams of becoming a samurai and fights to save the town called Kakamucho from becoming a litter box of a nefarious feline warlord, Aikachu, played by Ricky Gervais, who unveils his grand plan to get rid of the inhabitants. So, looking at the title of the movie, it's just a funny movie. It's very funny. It is a picture of a cat with a thong on, so it's a funny. I think it's going to be a cute movie for a lot of kids, and it could be that type of animated movie that adults also enjoy as well. So we'll see what happens. And then There's another movie coming out the weekend of August 4th that is very much an example of what Hollywood will make, you know. They're going to make a movie called The Emoji Movie about all the emojis that you send on Facebook, on all your online communication and all that. You know all those emojis, the poop emoji, the smiley emojis, you know, all those types of emojis. Well, they're going to have a movie about it. And so, it's another animated film. It's an animated film. And you have... Oh my... It's just... It's something that Hollywood would make a movie about emojis. They're very popular, granted, and Hollywood likes to go the route of popular... They like to supply popular demand, you know. Probably out there are people that were thinking, you know, hey, let's get an emoji movie out there. So, T.J. Miller is going to be the lead star. Alana Glazer, James Corden, Stephen Wright, comedian, Rob Riggle, Kevin Hart. So, an impressive voice cast. So this film's going to center on Gene, played by T.J. Miller, a multi-expressional emoji, as he sets out on a journey to become a normal emoji. T.J. Miller, of course, is probably best known by me as being the sidekick in Deadpool from last year. The friend to Deadpool. So, the Emoji Movie. Let's see how that does. There are two movies that I see here that I am going to talk about here that are coming out the weekend of August 11th. The first one is the sequel to Annabelle, Annabelle 2, which is a horror film. It is the second entry in the Annabelle film series. It is the fourth installment in the Conjuring series. Again, I'm not a horror fan at all or anything like that, but this has to be an anticipated film, a notable film that's coming out for this year, definitely. Coming out smack dab in the middle of summer season, so it's going to be a summer entry for sure. I heard that the first Annabelle was not critically well received at all. It was a dud. But we'll see what the sequel does. I won't be first in line to go see it, but there's definitely an audience for these types of horror movies. Next movie I'm going to talk about is a comedy crime movie called Baby Driver. It's an action crime thriller film, and it stars Ansel Elgort, who I know was in the Divergent series. The Divergent series of films. Lily James, who she was in Cinderella a couple years ago in the title role as Cinderella. And some veteran actors, Jamie Foxx, John Hamm, and Kevin Spacey. So it looks interesting. The premise reads like this. A young, talented getaway driver, played by Ansel Elgort, who works for different bank robbers, gets in trouble when a robbery goes wrong. So, looks interesting, and I will probably check it out. Like I said, it's up my alley, you know. I'm an action movie fan for sure. Next up, there are two movies here. From what I see, there are two movies coming out August 18th, the weekend of August 18th, that I'm going to talk about here. And the first one is The Hitman's Bodyguard. I mention it, it's an action comedy film. I like when the two come together, when action and comedy come together, for sure. There have been some great action comedy movies. One example, and I mentioned it before, Deadpool. I mean, it was an amazing action comedy film, for sure. Speaking of Deadpool, Ryan Reynolds is going to be in this movie. Also, Samuel L. Jackson's going to be in the movie. Gary Oldman, Salma Hayek. A very impressive cast for this film. So the synopsis reads like this. A bodyguard, played by Ryan Reynolds, takes his former enemy, a hitman, played by Sam Jackson, as a client so that they can defeat a dictator, played by Gary Oldman. Gary Oldman, once again, playing a villain. He is good at playing villains, for sure. Sam Jackson, who's in every single movie, is going to be in... Basically, every single film is going to be in this movie. Ryan Reynolds, riding high after the success of Deadpool, is going to be in this film. So, it could be a very impressive movie. For sure, because of the cast. But we'll see how it does. Next movie is going to be an animated comedy film. It's going to be The Nut Job 2, Nutty by Nature. It is the second Nut Job movie. The first Nut Job movie came out in 2014, and it received very negative reviews. I saw it receive very negative reviews. I don't know, but it probably made money, so they're getting a sequel for it. Yeah, it made money, for sure. Just seeing how it was successful, it made money, and a lot of the voice cast is going to be back. Will Arnett, Gabriel Iglesias, Jeff Dunham, Katherine Heigl, Maya Rudolph, Jackie Chan, Bobby Moynihan from SNL. So, an impressive voice cast, and let's see how the sequel does as opposed to the original movie, which did not do well with critics, but did well critically. So, we'll see. And then the final movie that I am going to talk about here, coming out the weekend of August 25th. It's a movie called Villa Capri. It is an action comedy film, and it has an impressive cast. Morgan Freeman, Tommy Lee Jones, and Rene Russo are the main stars of this movie. No synopsis for this yet, but just based on the names themselves, Morgan Freeman's one of my favorite actors. Tommy Lee Jones, also another favorite of mine. And Rene Russo's been in some good movies, so I'm excited because of the cast. And then that's it for August, pretty much, in terms of notable movies. Now we get into September, and there is one that's coming out the weekend of September 8th. And it's going to be another, like The Dark Tower, this movie is going to be another adaptation of a Stephen King novel. And this is going to be It. It's a supernatural horror film, and it, I believe, was a movie way back in the day. It was, I think, a movie back in the 80s, I want to say. I'd like to say it was. And I remember one of the characters' names was Pennywise, and he was played by Tim Curry in the original film. I think this is a remake, and so it'll be interesting for a lot of horror fans, for sure. I never watched it. I really have not watched a lot of horror movies in my day. I'm just not a huge fan of the genre. But, it's probably going to be successful, based on the love for the first movie, because that first movie was very successful. Now you have a remake coming up, and a remake of that movie, and it's based on the horror novel. So it should be successful. I can't imagine that it won't be. I mean, the horror fans are going to like it probably. So we'll see what happens. Then coming up, let's see here. Coming up the weekend of September 22nd, there's going to be 2 movies that I'm going to talk about that weekend. First one is an action movie called Granite Mountain. It stars Ben Hardy, Jennifer Connelly, Taylor Kitsch, Miles Teller, Josh Brolin, Jeff Bridges. So an impressive cast. Granite Mountain's premise is a drama based on the elite crew of men who battled Yarnell Hill Fire, a wildfire in Prescott, Arizona in June 2013 that claimed the lives of 19 of their members. Like Patriots Day, this is based on true events. And also like Patriots Day, this is based on true events that only happened a few years ago. So I'm thinking that's a trend that's going on around Hollywood. You're seeing a lot of based on true events movies that are being released a couple years after the events happened. So Patriots Day did it, this movie's doing it. Now, I never heard of Yarnell Hill Fire, so I'd have to do my research before I watch the film, but it just seems like it'd be intriguing for sure. Next film I'm going to talk about is the Lego Ninjago movie. Another Lego film that is a spin-off of the Lego movie from 2014. In February, we're getting the Lego Batman movie. In this movie, we're getting the Lego Ninjago movie. So the second spin-off from the Lego movie. It's got an impressive cast. Dave Franco, young brother of James Franco, Michael Pena, Fred Armisen, Jackie Chan, Olivia Munn is also in the film. So the plot of the movie reads like this. 6 young ninjas are tasked with defending their island home of Ninjago. By night, they're gifted warriors using their skill and awesome fleet of vehicles to fight villains and monsters. By day, they're ordinary teens struggling against their greatest enemy, high school. So should be an interesting film. Next up, there are 2 movies which are coming out on the weekend of September 29th that I want to talk about. And the first movie that is going to be here that I'm going to talk about is a movie called American Made. And it's a biographical criminal drama thriller film, and it stars Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise this will be his second movie of 2017 of this year. He's going to be in The Mummy, which I talked about in one of the videos. I think it's coming out in between April, May, and June, something like that. It's directed by Doug Liman, who has collaborated with Tom Cruise in the past. He collaborated with him in Edge of Tomorrow, which was a very well done film, for sure. So, American Made tells the story of Barry Seal, played by Tom Cruise, a TWA pilot who is recruited by the CIA to help counter the emerging communist threat in Central America. Seal's role in this major CIA covert operation led in turn to his involvement with the Medellin cartel, which ultimately embarrassed the Reagan White House after the Iran-Contra scandal became public. So this movie is based in the 1980s, during Ronald Reagan's presidency, so it should be an interesting film. Next film is a horror drama remake, or actually a sequel. and it's going to be the movie Flatliners. The original Flatliners movie came out in 1990. So this sequel's coming out 27 years later. It stars Kiefer Sutherland, who was in the original movie, is going to be in this movie. Ellen Page also will be a star in the film, and others as well. So a lot of people who are fans of Flatliners are going to enjoy this movie probably. They're going to be heavily anticipating the film for sure. So that's it. That is it for the months of July, August, and September. Stay tuned as I talk about the movies of October, November, and December. We get deep into Oscar season, and there's going to be probably a lot of Oscar films that are going to merit serious consideration. So that's it for this video on the films of July, August, and September. D-Rock 1992 out.